So I see Miss. All right.
Students, if you ride bus 20-969, please report to the bus lane. Again, if you ride bus 20-969, your bus has arrived. Please report to the bus lane at this time. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me apologize ahead of time because we are during dismissal. So we'll have some announcements for a few minutes until all of our buses have arrived. And so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our David T. Howard Middle School Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I am pleased to call this meeting of the David T. Howard Go Team to order. I will act in the capacity of interim Go Team chair for this meeting. Our first order of business is roll call, to call roll. Miss Wendy Baker has been appointed as our interim secretary, and she will serve as the interim secretary for this meeting. And the interim secretary will now take the roll.
Let me unmute myself. I'm not positive that I have everybody, all the new members listed. So I'm going to do the best I can. And if I miss anyone, please holler and I will add you to the roster. Jennifer Keenan.
Here.
Janine Walker.
Present.
Tanisha Pope.
Present.
Wendy Baker is present. Curtis Carmichael. And he may be one of the ones that is where community members are replacing. I'm not positive. Okay, thank you. Vincent Jones.
Present.
And Ben Abernathy.
And Ms. Baker, we also have Ms. Andrea Reese.
Okay. And it's A-U-D-R-E-A, Ms. Reese?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
And we have Mr. Jesse Webb.
Excellent. Mr. Webb, are you? Yes, you are. I see that you are here. Can you say present, please?
Present.
Thank you. And Ms. Reese is present. All right. Fantastic. Have I missed anyone? All right. Thank you.
All right. And so this team will only be able to take official action if a quorum is present. Ms. Baker, is there a quorum present?
I believe we have a quorum. Counting language arts teachers doing math is always challenging, but yes, ma'am, we do.
All right. So our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you via email. It was the May 2021, the last agenda we had from our last meeting.
Actually, we're approving today's agenda.
Thank you. All right, thank you. So that agenda was also emailed and also posted on the website. Are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
This is Tanisha Poe, and I motion to approve the agenda as read.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye or aye or raise your hand.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you, so that the secretary can record your vote. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Say abstain or raise your hand. Okay. Ms. Baker is taking notes of the motions and who's second. And so are we good with that? Okay, all right. So we will now move to filling vacant seats, the open community member seats, and the swing seat. Before we begin the process, I'd like to remind the Go Team of the following. The principal brings forth the nominations for the vacant and open community seats. All Go Team members have only one vote per seat, Individuals filling the vacant seat will serve until the conclusion of that seat's term. Individuals filling an open seat will serve for the full 2-year term. Upon approval, individuals are immediately full Go Team members and may join the meeting. So currently, we do not have any vacant seats. And we will table the community member seat until our next meeting. And so now we will move to fill our open swing seat. We will now move to fill the open swing seat. This person will serve on the Go Team for a full 2-year term. Nominations for the swing seat member may be made by any Go Team member. Does anyone have a nomination for the swing seat?
I would like to nominate Coach Abernathy for the swing seat.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right. Thank you, Ms. Keenan, for your nomination. We will now proceed to vote to fill the swing seat. Before we begin voting, does anyone have any additional comments or discussions about Mr. Coach Abernathy? Okay. So we will now proceed to vote on the nomination of Coach Ben Abernathy for the swing seat. All in favor, please say A or raise your hand. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. And so Ms. Baker will take note of how each member voted. And at this time, it looks like Coach Abernathy will be our new swing seat member.
Yes, it is unanimous.
Coach Abernathy. Okay. All right. Okay. We will review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? If there are no corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes?
Sorry, I recommend approving as read.
Thank you. A second?
I second. This is Vincent.
Thank you. So all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. All right. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Okay. So approved it is. Thank you. All right, so we will now move to electing our Go Team officers. Before we begin the nominations, I'd like to remind the Go Team of the following. Nominations do not have to be seconded. A member may nominate themselves. A member may nominate more than one person for any position. A member may decline a nomination during the nomination process. Members may not serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the same officer position at the same school. Nominees do not have to leave the room during the nomination period or when a vote is taken. If there is more than one nominee per elected office, each nominee will be offered an opportunity to share why they should be elected to the seat. The newly elected officers will assume their position starting at the conclusion of this meeting and serve for 1 year or until a new officer is elected. All voting members have only 1 vote per seat. So first, we will elect the Go Team's chair. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the chair include, but are not limited to, leading Go Team meetings, working with the principal and Go Team to develop meeting agendas, ensuring every Go Team member has an opportunity to be heard. I will now open the floor to receive chair nominations.
This is Tanisha Poe. I nominate Ben Abernathy.
So, and this is for the chair. Now, I'm gonna ask Mr. Kobe. I know Coach Abernathy was the chair for the last 2 years, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just last year.
Let me look really quickly.
Was the vice chair and then the
Yeah, Coach, were you chair for just the last 1 year?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
He was just chair in 2021, the 2020 to 2021 school year. Because in 2019 to 2020, it was somebody else who was the chair. He was vice chair, but so yes, he can be chair this year if he so desires. But he doesn't have to.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other nominations for chair nominations? Okay. If there are no further nominations, I will close the floor. We will begin the confirmation process. We have one person being considered for the chair seat. The nominations for chair is Coach Ben Abernathy. And at this time, I will offer each chair nominee or Coach Abernathy an opportunity I will offer him an opportunity to explain why he's the best candidate for this position. Other Go Team members may ask questions before voting.
Good afternoon. Just enjoy serving the Go Team as well as the school in this community. I try my best to make sure that each and every one has a voice and that voice is heard. So thank you for the opportunity to again serve our community.
Okay. So for the nomination for Coach Abernathy to fill the position of chair, all in favor, please say A or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Okay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain or raise your hand. Okay.
Bus 644 ride. Students, you will be riding on bus 670. Again, students that ride bus route 644, you will be riding on bus 670. Your bus has arrived.
Okay.
Please report to the bus lane at
So
this time.
congratulations to Coach Abernathy. You will serve as the Go Team chair for this school year. Okay. Now we will elect the Go Team's vice chair. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the vice chair include, but are not limited to, ensuring the Go Team follows parliamentary procedure, working with the principal and chair to develop meeting agendas, acting as chair if the chair is not present. I will now open the floor to receive vice chair nominations.
I would like to nominate Archie Aries.
All right. Would any of the nominees like to decline the nomination? Okay, if there are no further nominations, I will close the floor. We will begin the confirmation process. We have Ms. Andrea Reese being considered for the vice chair seat. The nominations for vice chair is Ms. Andrea Reese. And at this time, I will offer her an opportunity to explain why she is the best candidate for the position, and other Go Team members may ask the nominee questions before voting.
Hello, my name is Archie Aries, and I'm very excited to have been nominated for this position. I am very dedicated to serving the school and the greater community that it convenes, and look forward to helping to keep everything organized and to supporting the staff, the parents, and all the leadership and stakeholders in making this school the best it can be. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the nomination of Ms. Andrea Reese to fill the position of vice chair, all in favor say A or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I have a quick question before you vote.
Okay.
Do you guys have a biography for Ms. Reese? I just want to get more information. Hi, by the way, I'm Janine. I'm a parent.
Hi, Janine. Do you have any questions at this time about my professional background, my education? I can give you some facts about myself if you would like.
If you want to just give us a little background information, that'll be helpful. Usually we get some kind of, small biography about each person. That's just why I was asking.
Okay, great. Well, I live in the Old 4th Ward area. I have one child, a daughter who is in the 8th grade at Howard Middle School, and she's doing well there. I'm very pleased with the education and learning that she's had there. I've lived in the Atlanta area for over 20 years now. I have a background in accounting, an MBA, institutional real estate management. I also run a nonprofit that focuses on education, specifically the reduction of transiency to stabilize neighborhoods and stabilize schools. So that's a little bit about me. I'm originally from North Carolina. And if you have any other specific questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks for the wonderful intro.
Sure thing.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Walker. Thank you, Ms. Reese. So for the nomination of Ms. Reese to fill the position of vice chair, all in favor say A or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions, please say abstain or raise your hand. Congratulations, Ms. Reese. You will serve as the Go Team Vice Chair for this school year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we will elect the Go Team Secretary. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the Secretary includes, but are not limited to, posting Go Team documents, agendas, summaries, and minutes to the website and at the school, taking minutes at Go Team meetings, ensuring the Go Team is in compliance with Georgia open meeting laws. I will now open the floor to receive secretary nominations.
I would like to nominate Ms. Baker.
Okay, we have one nomination for Ms. Wendy Baker. Would anyone, would you like to decline, Ms. Baker?
No, I've got broad shoulders. I can take it on.
Okay, so if there are no further nominations, I will close the floor and we will begin the confirmation process. We have Ms. Baker being considered for the secretary seat. The nomination for secretary is Ms. Wendy Baker, and at this time, I will offer her an opportunity to explain why she is the best candidate for the position, and other Go Team members may ask her questions before voting.
Well, as everyone else has said, I've really enjoyed serving the community. I love to represent not only teacher voices, but also the students in my class. And I enjoy trying to craft what we're saying into a concise little record of what we're doing. So I feel like I've got a system down. So I've got it. I'm smooth.
All right. Any questions before voting? Okay. The nomination of Ms. Wendy Baker to fill the position of secretary. All in favor, please say A or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say or raise your hand.
You are on bus 640.
Any abstentions, please abstain or raise your hand.
At this time. Again, students that ride bus route 641, you will be riding on bus 640.
Congratulations, Ms. Wendy Baker. You will serve as the Go Team Secretary for this school year. Now, we will elect the Go Team's cluster representative. Cluster representatives may also hold another officer position, chair, vice chair, or secretary. As a reminder, the responsibilities of the cluster representative include, but are not limited to, attending all cluster advisory team, CAT meetings, approximately 3, reporting back to the Go Team on the CAT meetings or CAT meetings. I will now open the floor to receive cluster representative nominations. Would any of the I'm sorry.
Hi, I would like to nominate Jennifer Keenan.
Okay. Ms. Keenan, would you like to decline this nomination?
No.
Okay. All right. If there are no further nominations, I will close the floor and we will begin the confirmation process. We have Ms. Keenan, Ms. Jennifer Keenan, being considered for the cluster representative seat.
698. Your bus has arrived.
The nomination for cluster representative is Ms. Jennifer Keenan, and at this time, I will offer her the opportunity to explain why she is the best candidate for the position. Other Go Team members may ask her questions before voting.
Well, thank you very much. I am interested in being the cluster representative, primarily because this year I have daughters at both Howard and Midtown. And I already attended the first Midtown Go Team meeting. And I think that having children at both schools, as well as still having friends at the elementary schools, will enable me to be a good cluster representative.
Okay. For the nomination of Ms. Keenan to fill the position of cluster representative, all in favor, please say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions, please say abstain or raise your hand. Okay. Congratulations, Ms. Keenan. You will serve as the Go Team cluster representative for this school year. All right. We will now move to our next item of business in reviewing and updating or confirming our Go Team's public comment format. Public comment opportunities are available for Go Teams to hear from interested members of the community from section 3.4 of the Go Team Handbook. Opportunities for public comment shall be provided at least 4 times in a school/fiscal year and noted on the meeting agenda. Go Team members will not provide responses or engage in direct conversation during meetings. Each Go Team may determine a consistent method for receiving public comments and for parents and other citizens to sign up to address the team. At least 20 minutes of time to the public to make comments at meetings where public comment is permitted. And the public receives at least 2 business days notice of the protocol for signing up to speak. Here's an example of a public comment format. For those of you wishing to provide comment, there is time allotted on the agenda from 6 p.m. to 6:20. To sign up you will sign up on our school website via clicking the Google form. Each member of the public will have 2 minutes to speak, at which time we will ask you to end comment to allow others to speak. The public comment period is designed to gain input from the public and not for immediate responses by the Go Team to the public comment presented. At the end of the 20 minutes, we will close public comment and move on to the next agenda item. If there are questions or information that you have for the Go Team, you may also contact one or more of the Go Team members after this meeting, and you can find Go Team member contact information and meeting dates and agendas on the Go Team page of the school website. So for Howard, once again, we do have an area on our Go Team page where the public can click and sign up for public comment. Ms. Poe would then email them the Zoom link to participate using that address. Now that we have our current public comment information, are there any recommendations for updates or changes to our public comment format? I think one thing that we may want to do on our website, there is an area for our parents to click on that, the link to sign up. Perhaps we may want to put, make sure that they can see on our webpage that they have a 2-minute limit. So they are aware, before they address the team.
Yes, ma'am, that sounds like a good idea. I was also thinking that if we ever get anyone who wants to do a public comment, we didn't at all last year, we can also send them, when I send the email, I'll give them like specific instructions on how it works as well there too. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Poe. May I have a motion to adopt the public comment format?
I think that's a great idea, Ms. Poe. I just wanted to clarify that they'll be able to comment at each meeting. Is that still the format?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I move to adopt the public comment format.
Thank you. A second?
I second that motion, Janine.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All right, all opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? please say abstain or raise your hand. Okay, all right. So adhering to the agenda, we will now discuss our meeting calendar for this school year. As a reminder, our Go team is required to have at least 6 meetings for the year. 4 meetings must permit time for public comment. We've already said that we will allow public comment at all meetings. Meetings cannot be held during the instructional day, and meeting location must be places which can accommodate the public, not a conference room once we're in person. May I have suggestions or recommendations for the meeting dates and times?
My only recommendation is maybe a different time to push it back a little. I don't know if that makes it easier for the staff to attend and, you know, kind of get all those other things out the way. So you guys just let me know your thoughts.
Good observation, Ms. Walker. I would love to hear from the staff. Coach Abernathy or Ms. Poe, Mr. Webb, do you all have any responses to that?
And Ms. Baker's about.
I was just gonna ask, it almost depends, like if it's Zoom, I feel like it would almost be easier to do it from home, like give us a chance, like last year we could get home and then we could Zoom from home. But if we're live, then yes, making sure we can zip, but it is, right now it's a little tight because we do have so many buses still here, so. Yeah, I can see pushing it back a little bit.
I was actually thinking the same thing, Ms. Baker. It really depends on if we're in person or not. Because if we're in person, we don't want to wait at like 30, 45 minutes an hour, because that makes a really long day after teaching all day. So
Yes.
So is it safe, and can we do that, Mr. Covey? Is it safe to say if it's Zoom that we can push it back? And when we say push it back, would that be, because, you know, my getting home and Ms. Poe or Ms. Baker's getting home is going to be different times.
Right.
Is it safe to say, are we thinking something more like 4:45 or 5 o'clock?
So the team has the ability to set their meeting time, and you can always come back and revisit it. So if situations change and like 1 month you discover, hey, everybody can make it at 6:30 or 7. I mean, you know, I've had, especially in the Zoom space, for some people, for some teams, everybody being at home and meeting later works. You just need to follow Georgia open meeting laws in terms of noticing your meeting.
Okay.
So whatever works for the team to ensure that the majority of people are able to attend.
Okay. So right now, since we are meeting virtually right now, do we want to push it back to 5? Is that safe to say?
I would say I'm open, just people understanding that if we do push it back, we're going to get off later. So just considering that time that you guys need to be at home or whatever circumstance that is.
So you all tell me, Coach, I know you're going to be here because you're still coaching, but Ms. Poe, Ms. Baker, you all, Mr. Webb, you all kind of tell me what is a good time that would be good for you all if you needed to make it home. And
So I guess I was just about to say that. I think the most important part of it is how long does it take everybody to get home? We don't want it to benefit some members and not others. We want to make sure everybody has that time to get home safe.
So if it was 5 for me, I would still have to stay here. Like I could, it's easier for me to get on here than it is to get home, get in traffic or something like that. It would be pushing it for me to get home at 5 o'clock.
I personally live in the woods of Locust Grove. So it takes a long time for me to get home. So I usually run the meetings from my car or like whatever, if it's that way though. So.
okay. And Ms. Baker?
I don't live very far away at all, so I'm flexible. I mean, even if we push it to 4:45, that just gives everybody a breather, because this right now is a little tight.
Gotcha. Okay. So do we want to set it at 4:45 for right now? Is everyone good with that? Okay. All right. And then in terms of the date, since we are now August 31st, do we want to just look at planning for that time of the month? You know, like we can do September 28th at the end of September for our next one. You know, we can shoot for the end of the month on Tuesdays if everyone is good with that.
So are you thinking that we would be meeting on like the last Tuesday of every month? Is because last time we met on like the second Monday of every month.
And I'm very flexible and open with whatever the group decides.
So the one thing we want to keep in mind too is once we get towards the budget approval time, that's normally in the middle of the month. Am I correct, Mr. Kobe?
Could you repeat that, Coach?
'Cause once we get towards approving the budget, once we're talking like I think it's February and March, that
Yeah.
the deadlines for those will be in the middle of the month. I think that's why we were meeting on the
So
second.
basically, the principal budget trainings are typically in mid-January. And so basically it recommends that we plan on 3 meetings for the budget process. The first in late January to early February to review priorities and budget allocation. The second in mid to late February for budget presentation and feedback. And then the third in early March to approve the budget. So if we stuck with where we are now in terms of like the end of the month, we would be in compliance with the first in late January, early February. And then let's see, second in mid to late February, I think we would still be good, but then we would need to switch it up in March to approve the budget for early March.
I'll just say typically around that time, we have an extra meeting for the budget because no time really works, you know, where we can fully discuss. So I think just baking in an extra meeting for that will suffice if everyone is okay with keeping the end of the month.
Yeah.
Getting an extra meeting.
Okay.
That works.
So then if that's the case, I have some proposed dates, September 28th. I don't know if someone's looking at the calendar, but I think that would be the next date if we stuck with the end of the month on Tuesday. October 26th, November 30th, December 14th. And we only do 6 meetings, is that right?
We did more than that last year.
We did more than-
Easily.
Okay, so December 14th. And then that will put us on also January 25th, which would be a budget talk. February 22nd would be a budget talk. We would need one early March. If anyone's looking at a calendar, what would be a good March date?
I would recommend holding off on that one
Okay,
because finance needs to set their timeline. And a lot of times that March date, some teams just go and convene to do that final budget approval. You know, so it could be, you could have just like a 10-minute meeting and you could set a regular March meeting if you wanted, or it,
okay,
you know, just sort of depending on how that goes.
okay.
Because I'd hate for you to put one at the end of March and then also have to have one at the beginning of March. But you will have to have a meeting in March. I just don't know when it will have to be.
Okay, well, the end of the month would be March 29th. So,
Quick question, Ms. Antone. Have you guys looked at, before you kind of thought about some dates, look at you guys' internal calendar to make sure that there's no conflicts of interest? I just want to make sure we're not having dates that we can't kind of stick to. Does that make sense?
yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The other thing is for the Grady CAT meetings, do we have enough time at the end of that month to then report out based on when those meeting dates are? I don't know if they have those dates yet.
So I am not sure about the Grady CAT meetings, those dates yet.
Ms. Antone, one other possible conflict is November 30th. That is the date of the runoff election. And with so many races with multiple candidates,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of runoffs.
Gotcha.
And I think particularly, if teachers vote after school, that could cause a problem.
Yes, thank you. All right. So we would mark off November. And of course, I know November is a short month, and then we are up on December again, another short month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so basically right now, I'm looking at about 9 meetings. I know we're required 6. Will we need one in November, or and just proceed to December, or do we want to look at another November date?
I was actually going to say maybe we could take one of those months off, either November or December. That'll take us down at least 1 meeting.
So maybe just take November off.
Yes, ma'am, and then do it like, I don't know, like do it a little earlier in December. Well, we have to do it a little earlier in December, but
Okay. I think the 14th, I don't have that calendar pull now, would be the end, pretty much the end of December. If we wanted to do it earlier, we would be looking at, around that first week of December. Anyone?
I think the 7th.
We just have 2 Tuesdays.
It's the 7th.
Yeah, I think the 7th would be good because it's 2 weeks after, well, it's a week and a half after Thanksgiving break and a week and a half before winter break. So that's really the midway point between Thanksgiving break and winter break.
Okay.
And if we do it then, I think we could still have some updates on finals and you could give more information on end of semester type stuff.
Sounds good. I'm okay with that.
The other thing I was just going to ask, I know we kind of got talking about March. I don't remember having one last year in April, but maybe we did. So are we going to have one in April and May as well?
So I know there was one in May, definitely. You all may have to answer that question for April and March. Well, I'm sorry, what March? Did you say March or April?
Well,
I'm
we
going
definitely-
into our drive right now.
We
Okay.
definitely had one in March, and I think we had a special call meeting to revisit the budget, and I think that took away one of them. May have been April, and then we came back and met again in May.
And so was that Coach Abernathy, you had a special call meeting in March probably for the budget, and then you came back in May. Did you say no April meeting?
Here's what we had. We had 2 meetings in February about the budget, and then we voted in March, early March. So we did have one in April and we did have one in May.
Okay.
I have a question. Is it possible to schedule our next meeting at this meeting and table us doing a calendar for the next meeting? That way everybody kind of has a better idea of what's coming up.
And Ms. Jacoby, I would get your feedback on that one.
I mean, you can, but it's our recommendation that you try to come up with dates now. And if we get information from finance by your next meeting, then you can always adjust it. It just makes it easier and doesn't fall off the radar and get forgotten, is what we have found in the past. But if your team wishes to just set the next one and table it, you can do that.
I think we got some good dates down thus far.
I do too.
If you all are good with that.
Do we want to go ahead and finish up April and May? I'm fine with you going ahead and just committing to dates.
Okay, so for March, it sounds like you all had a call meeting in March, at the beginning of March because of the budgets, but we, kind of don't know how that goes until you get around that time. So do we want to plan?
we can make March. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say we could do TBD.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Yes, ma'am. And so maybe we can leave March off so that we can kind of see where we are with budget talks at that point, and then schedule March when we get closer to that time, and then just schedule April and May.
Okay, so the last Tuesday in April is the 26th.
Right. Okay. And now May, the last, I don't know that we want to go to the last week of May. Do we want to look at the 17th maybe? Okay. Is everyone good with that? So we're looking at August, oh, well, we're looking at September 28th, October 26th, December 7th, January 25th, February 22nd. We're gonna table March until we get closer to that time. April 26th and then May 17th. Okay. And you will include that in the minutes, right, Ms. Baker?
Got you.
All
And you
right.
did say September 28th. I just want to make sure.
September 28th, yes.
I got it.
Is everyone good with that? Okay. Okay, all right. So, okay. So now we need to, okay. I think I did that. All right, so now we need to determine at which meetings we will allocate time for public comment. As a reminder, we must allow the public comment at least 4 times during the school year. And now that we have determined our calendar, may I have a motion to approve the calendar?
A motion to.
Okay, a second?
I second it. This is Mrs. Baker.
Okay, so all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. Okay.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay, raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please say abstain or raise your hand. Please enter these dates into your personal calendar so that you do not forget. They will be in the meeting minutes as well. So now we will determine our Go Team meeting norms. And we'll begin by reviewing the initial Go Team meeting norms. This is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of public present are here to quietly observe. We will be fully present. We will follow the agenda as noticed to the public and stay on task. We will be respectful of each other at all times. We will be open-minded. We invite and welcome contributions of every member and listen to each other. We will respect all ideas and assume good intentions. We will approach differences of opinion with curiosity. Does anyone have any changes they would like to make to those norms?
Ms. Antone, I'd like to propose a change to the first bullet point, which would just clarify that members of the public will be entitled to provide public comment during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Okay. So may I have a motion to adopt these norms with the added statement that's proposed from Ms. Keenan?
I motion to accept with that addition.
A second?
Second.
And I'm sure Ms. Baker wants that verbiage. Did you get that, Ms. Baker?
I got it.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Nay. Any abstentions? Please say abstain or raise your hand. All right. We will now move to discussion items on our agenda. Okay. All right. The first discussion item is COVID-19 protocols. And so Ms. Beatles is here. I would like for her to talk about our COVID-19 protocols.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm driving. I'm just leaving the school. But we first start with making sure all students wear a mask. It's important for students to wear a mask over a nose and mouth because this is a respiratory virus. And I don't think some people believe in the seriousness of it. And so whenever there is a positive case, we have to do we have to submit a form online from the district website and then do contact tracing. And with the contact tracing, we have to look for any students who don't wear a mask or didn't wear their mask properly for 15 minutes or more, and another student that possibly did not wear their mask during that same time. We also look at lunch, where the kids ate, who they ate with, and we quarantine those kids for exposure. And their exposure is, anytime you're quarantined for exposure, it's 10 days, but students can come back after the 7th day if they have a COVID negative test, a test that comes back negative, between or after the 5th day. If they have it any earlier, we can't take it because it hasn't had time for the virus to possibly sit in. So if they come back after the 7th day with a negative COVID test, they can stop quarantining. But if they choose not to take a test, then it's 10 days. We have had several cases so far, and we do everything we can to make sure that the kids are safe. We do have surveillance testing every Friday from 1 to 3, in which we test all kids whose parents have consented to surveillance testing. We also do community members, parents, kids, teachers, everyone that has consented for surveillance testing from 1 to 3 every Friday. We also do, or they're getting ready to do, vaccines on Wednesday from 1 to 4 at the school. If parents, students, anyone wants to be vaccinated, they are welcome to come to the school and be vaccinated on Wednesday from 1 to 4, but they must submit a pre-registration and a consent form.
Thank you, Ms. Beatles. And I will say that, I don't know if you all understand or know how this has impacted schools, but this is almost like a job that you can actually literally hire someone for, because many days is all that Ms. Beatles does. Our nurse Kelly, it's an all day thing on some days, and some days, you're slammed. You're lucky to have one day without having to do this, but it definitely takes your time. And, once something comes up, you can't wait. You have to get to it no matter what you had planned for that day. So it is definitely a full-time job, and it has definitely changed the way we operate in schools this year. Any questions about that?
I just had a few comments. First of all, that's great news that members of the community and parents can participate in the testing and vaccinations. I didn't know that. And, I've received these communications for over a month now from both Midtown High and Howard. So I think it would be great if we could publicize that more. And, we can reach out to the PTO and get a Facebook posting. But that's excellent news. And as I said, I had no idea that was the policy. And the other,
Ms. Keenan, the only thing is we only have from 1 to 3, and we have several 400, 500 kids that are tested. So like, if you wanted to come, we can open it up for parents, but we don't want, more parents and community than kids. And we don't have, we can't get them all done. If that makes any sense.
yes. And you know what, actually I've heard about, long lines for testing. So maybe the focus then would just be on the vaccinations, just indicating that that vaccinations are open to parents or whatever the policy is. I just think it'd be great to publicize that. And I know at the Midtown Go Team meeting, they were discussing, ways to further educate the community about the vaccines. And, one of the ideas that they had was talking about the extracurricular activities and sports, and having coaches and other people talk about the vaccination and making it clear, if you're unvaccinated and you have an exposure, you're going to have to miss 2 weeks of practice of your sport. and same would be for orchestra or just the different clubs and extracurriculars. So I think just anything that
Also,
we do as a Go team in a school to just provide more information would be really helpful.
also, if parents, there is a site at Douglas High School where parents and staff can go and students can go get an actual full PCR test, not just a surveillance testing. And it's open from 9 to 5 on Douglas's campus. And you just drive up, they have a tent, and you drive through the tent and you can have a PCR test. I'm not sure if the community is aware, but it was sent on one of the superintendent's messages. But if you need to have a PCR test, you can go to Douglas High School and get a PCR test as well.
Right. That's great. And then my question is about the mask procedures. I've heard some reports that masks are, worn under the nose or even below the chin, and I can't imagine how difficult that is for the teachers to try to get these kids to comply. But I guess, is there a process, if a student is in a class and they're concerned because several students around them are not wearing their masks properly, what would be the best course of action?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because that's something we definitely have to deal with. Mask wearing is actually a part of dress code. So, when you look at the student code of conduct, it falls in that category, which is a level 1 offense. But, in talking with different teachers, they pretty much know who those students are that they have to stay on top of all the time. Sometimes it might be 2 or 3 students, but that is something that we definitely stress to students every single day, to make sure that they have it pulled up over their nose and under their chin and worn properly. And so we've, talked about that. We've had parent conferences to make sure that, they understand that, hey, this is going on. We're having to, ask your child to wear the mask properly several times. At this point, when kids are getting off the bus without their mask, we literally put them over to the side and go ahead and call their parents at that time, because it is a problem. And, other students, see that, and, the time that we're living in right now, we're trying to keep everybody safe and their students safe as well. And so it's something that we definitely deal with every day, but it is a part of the dress code, a dress code violation, a level 1 offense. And we do all that we can in addition to holding parent conferences with that student to let them know that this is serious, to try to address it.
Hey, so I get Jennifer's point totally, and I share the same sentiments, but I'm just wondering if it's a way we can make it less punitive and maybe take away some activities kids have, or even make them do other things like that they necessarily wouldn't want to do, because it is a problem, but just making it punitive, I don't think it's really going to help the situation. Of course, we're all trying to stay safe, and it's just difficult all the way around, but I was just wondering if there is some alternatives there.
Yeah, that's definitely possibilities. We do celebrations, once a month. That'll start in September, that we normally do our PBIS celebrations. And part of that is, making sure that kids are following, the rules and procedures and guidelines that our teachers have provided. And so, they lose privileges if, not be able to attend if, they're not following through. And so that is definitely something that the teachers can observe and administrators may observe. Yes. Okay. Any other questions about that before we move forward? Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on. We will now move on to information items. And first is the principal's report. And so the first thing I do want to do is give a shout out to our foundation. They actually, they're purchasing amplifiers for all of our teachers because it is difficult to talk through those masks when you're teaching and just communicating, period. When you're trying to talk to large groups of students, and the acoustics in the hallways don't help, but they are purchasing amplifiers for all of our staff. Also 18 picnic tables to be placed outside so that our students and our staff can have somewhere to eat when they are outdoors eating. And also, we currently have some hallway furniture that's positioned throughout the hallways on every grade level. And so they are purchasing also tables that we can add to, rolling tables that we can add to that furniture that can be used whenever weather is not permitting and students have to eat indoors in alternative locations. And so we do want to give a shout out to our foundation for doing that. So very thankful to have their assistance.
I have a question. I have spoken to a few teachers who their box lights are from like an older iteration, and they're not really able to use them as they were intended.
Okay.
And I know it a very long time ago, and I'm talking like 15, 20 years ago, Inman's Foundation was set up solely to purchase educational technology for the school. As a matter of fact, they were the ones that basically bought all the first Promethean boards. I mean, this is before I even worked there.
Okay.
So early 2000s. So is there any way we can kind of ask them? Because I know there's a good, there's a good amount of money in there. Could they perhaps, it sounds like we could use like a few of them. Is that something we could find out that they could do?
Sure, we can definitely put that down and talk to Foundation about that and see if that's something that they are willing to add to the budget. So yes, I can definitely take note of that.
Well, and I think a good first step would maybe do a quick survey or some sort of audit. So the teachers could we could identify which teachers need them. So we'll know how many there are. And then Ms. Poe works closely with the foundation on technology, whether it's hardware or software. So I think Ms. Poe could help us identify then, the appropriate manufacturer, the appropriate box light. And then also, we always research if APS will pay for it first. So, Ms. Baker, I think that you're right. That's definitely the type of the thing that the foundation funds. And I think if we just do those first few steps first, do an audit, see how many there are, figure out how much they cost, and then see if APS is providing any of them. When we have all the answers to that, then we'll be able to, then the school could present a complete proposal to the foundation to get those.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, Ms. Baker. All right. The next thing on the agenda, I'm going to try to make this quick, is the school improvement plan. So just know that we are working on our school improvement plan. It is a living document. We are making sure we're basing on the APS 5, and the APS 5 is basically our district non-negotiables in terms of how we operate this year, in terms of using data. Number one, using data to utilize when we're making decisions about instruction and ensuring equitable outcomes for all of our students. In terms of curriculum instruction, we have to make sure that we're using the district curriculum in terms of, for example, ELA and math. We're using Amplify ELA this year and Amplify Math. And our social studies and our science classes are still using the units of study that they've used in the past. But just making sure we're implementing those things with fidelity. We have to also, number 3, focus on the whole child and intervention, which, we're implementing the system of supports where we're looking at social emotional learning behavior. We're looking at wellness and just those comprehensive academic intervention plans. We have the intervention block where we are working with our students, but just making sure we have those things in place to look at the whole child. Personalized learning is another area that we're looking at, where we're using flexible learning tools. We're using those flexible learning tools in our intervention blocks as well as our extension blocks. And then, looking at our signature program. And so I am looking at the time, I could go through the actual strategic plan that we have so far, or, or I can actually share more in detail in our next meeting. I do have some Georgia Milestone data to show you. If I could share my screen, I think that would be best. Coach Abernathy, do I have co-host rights?
Should be able to share your screen, Miss Anto.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I am going to just share my screen, and I'll make this a little larger so that you can see it. Let me know if you can see that or if I need to make it a bit larger. Okay, all right. So we actually took the Georgia Milestones in the spring, and just want to make sure everyone knows that, this data cannot be used to compare year-over-year trends, either at the district or school level, because it wasn't a representative sample of all of our students. So basically, you're looking at a take rate for the EOG, that's the Georgia Milestones, in grades 6 through 8, at 39% for Howard, where it was 34% for the district. And so when you look at math, you'll see where you had the tested in-person group, we had about 80% that tested in person. When you look at the virtual hybrid blended learning group, we had about 17% that tested, because we had virtual students who had to come in to test. And then when you look at the performance of the Georgia Milestones at the very bottom here, you see that in math, 58% of our students were proficient and distinguished in math. And in ELA, you'll see down here at the bottom here that the EOG, the Georgia Milestones in grades 6 through 8, in ELA, we were proficient and distinguished with 65% in ELA. And so definitely the pandemic definitely had a major impact on, our students during that time. For the end of course test, and it's going to be Algebra 1, we had 48% of our students that actually took it. And for Algebra 1, we're looking at proficient and above, 84% of that group of students who actually took Algebra 1. Okay. In terms of leveling, leveling will actually take place on the 25th, what I've been told. They'll be looking at leveling on the 25th day of school, which will be next week. And so, and I have a correction here to my notes here, because I was just looking today, and we have 1175 enrolled, and the projected number of students actually was 1189, not 1196, but 1189. And so we're not that far off, but we are waiting to see what the leveling process will look like, because I don't feel like, we'll have to lose any staff members or anything like that, because we are closed. But what we do have to think about, and Ms. Beatles, you can chime in if you need to, is, looking at the money that we have in reserve, will they have to take some of that money because we didn't meet the 1189 projected number? But we're just kind of waiting around next week to see what's going to happen before we, make any, do anything in terms of our budget right now. Any questions? Okay. Also wanted to update you on the intervention and enrichment blocks. We do have, there's been a lot that has gone into the intervention blocks and the enrichment blocks this year. A lot of training that started in all of July and August with reading and math interventions, Read 180, System 44, Math 180. And we are at the place right now where students are doing inventory, they're finishing up inventories. Some of them are finished, which is like a diagnostic within these materials to see how students should be grouped within those intervention classes. And so there's just been a lot that has gone into that, and we're continuing to perfect that process and make sure that we are helping students where they are and trying to get them up to speed and being on grade level. Also, right now we're waiting on to finish our makeups for MAP growth so that we can reorganize the intervention groups to get an accurate account of actually who needs this support. Because we do have a lot of new students that's come in. We have students who, didn't take the Georgia Milestones, and we just want to make sure that we get all the right kids into these interventions and supports. In terms of the enrichment block or extension block, our teachers are using a new personalized tool called Renzulli. So we are learning a lot about this tool. It is a personalized academic platform where the students are doing completing profilers right now. So it can actually gauge, and Coach Abernathy can probably talk to you about this, but it actually allows them to do a profiler where it will look at their learning styles and their product styles and interest areas. And the students can actually work on the different content areas at their pace and based on their interest inventories when they do those profilers. And so currently they are working on those in our extension classes. And in addition to that, our teachers have developed different themes during the extension classes where they may be working on STEM projects, STEAM projects, ACT, SAT prep, good book, better movies. So just multiple things that they're working on during that time. And as we receive district information, competition information for science fair, social studies fair, math fair, engineering, all of the above, we will be allowing our students to use that time as well to work on those projects as well. And so that's kind of where we are with interventions and extensions. Universal screeners, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. Map growth, this is the actual universal screener that we're using this year. It replaced the STAR, and the windows are here as you see in August, November, and March. And we are basically, this is our first time doing MAP, and so we're learning this as we go, but we are finishing up makeups hopefully by this Friday, and looking forward to getting the results because we're ready to analyze that data to see how to reorganize our intervention and extension groups. There is a district training on September 15th where we have to send 6 of our staff members there to analyze that data and get professional learning from the district so that we can go through that process of trying to see where our students should be after we receive that data. Once we go through this process, there are a lot of different reports that we can use. However, I do know that there's a family report and a student profile report. And so we'll be working to see, as we learn more about this and in our training, how we can get this information to our parents once we're finished with this process. Any questions about that? Okay, so I'm just gonna keep on. And this is just, some information about MAP growth. It's an adaptive test, as questions get harder or easier, depending on how the student answers the questions. No, and a student did ask me this the other day, but no 2 tests are the same. And it does measure growth and achievement over time. I'm sorry. Trying to get this down here. Okay. The other big thing, this is new as well this year. We are going through training pretty soon. We're getting that rolled out of a universal screener for social, emotional, and behavioral screener. And so basically it is to determine a student's risk for developing emotional and or behavioral problems that require intervention. And what this does is once the teachers or parents and students complete this process, the scores include, as you can see here, these index in terms of internalizing risk, externalizing risk, adaptive skills, self-regulation risk, personal adjustment risk. And we are developing what we call a care team, where we have our school social worker, our intervention specialists in our building, our 504 coordinators and administrator, where we come together weekly or bi-weekly to discuss, our students, at every grade level, to make sure that no kid is falling through the gaps. If there's something that comes out of a screener and we need to make sure that we get them the assistance that they need, we'll be looking at that. I mean, everything with this, as well as academics and, looking at our kids who are having to quarantine. and making sure that, no one's falling through the cracks, but that would be what our care team would be for. But they would also work along with, this screener, and if there are any kids that we need to make sure that we're helping out here. The screener, I know once it's done, it is a platform that gives our teachers and our staff a lot of different tools to use when it comes to working with kids who may fall in these different risk index as well. And so this is something that's very new. Parents will be able to opt out if they do not want their kid to participate in this screener. Okay. Also wanted to mention that our curriculum night will be September 14th at 5 o'clock. It is virtual. Our parents will be able to follow our kids' schedules to their core and connections classes, and it will be about 10 to 15 minutes per class. So part of trying to make sure that we reach our school goals, which are focusing on students that go from beginner to developing level, and focusing on our kids who go from developing to proficient. We'll also be looking at kids going from proficient to distinguished as well. And so we'll use our Georgia Milestone data and our MAP growth data to pull and target the kids that will be able to be invited to come to Saturday school. We also focus on some motivational strategies and use of student recognition, just to make it fun. But one thing we're also discussing today is, as we're looking at how many students have to quarantine, last year we did a tip program at the end of the day, but we're thinking about doing that on Saturday as well, where we can have some virtual teachers, just like we did tip, who are there to tutor students who are having to quarantine. And so we're looking at pulling that in as well on those Saturday school days. So just wanted to mention that. We also have a Saturday school for an alternative to suspension. So that will still be in place as well, where they also implement SEL strategies. And then in terms of our FELT updates, we do have a partnership with Georgia State where they are working with some of our ELA teachers. I know in 7th grade, we wanted to get them out into the building this year where they would actually teach a class, but we were told we had to hold off, with the pandemic right now until 2nd semester to see what we look like there. And we were working with them also to try to get some mentors from Georgia State to mentor our students. But we will see what 2nd semester looks like. We're also working with the CREATE program where we have many Georgia State students. We have at least, seems about 4 or 5 in our building who are shadowing our teachers in the building, and they're becoming, it's a residential program where they're residents here in our school. And so we're happy to have them here. But also we have a parent university that we're getting ready to roll out. And Ms. Poe, will you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. So for our parent university, this is in response to a lot of our parents needing help navigating our various platforms and making sure that our parents are comfortable using everything. And so what we would do is have like a monthly little meeting where parents could come and get support, learn how to use my Google Classroom, my homework, and it'll be various themes going on. The first one in September will be more of an orientation to Howard, helping your student with quarantine learning should it happen. So you'll know exactly how to help your student with that. And then the next one will be a supporting your student. So it'll be talking about executive functioning, things like that. And Mr. Perry will come in near the end of the year to help parents with registration. So it's just a lot of different opportunities where we can make sure that our parents feel supported and actually know how to use the things that we're always throwing out there at their children so they can support their children better.
And we also wanted to make sure that parents were aware of securely. Can you talk about that a little bit, Ms. Poe?
Yes, ma'am. And I forgot that when I was trying to remember off the top of my head. So yes, we have the Securely platform which allows the parents to put guardrails on the APS issued machine. That was a big deal last time because parents couldn't see where their students were, what websites they were going on, or they couldn't change the times, but it works. I have a coworker who has an APS student. She actually has twins and twin boys, and she doesn't allow them to use their computers after a certain time. She said the first day it popped up, they thought their mom knew magic because she could control their machines. So parents will get alerts if there's any type of inappropriate searches. It's just a really good way to make sure that our kids are safe in the digital world.
Can I ask a question real fast? You had mentioned that there seems to be a schedule of different parent university topics. Where can parents find that?
I will post that, Ms. Baker. That's a very good question. That is all on me. I messed up and forgot to put it out here, but I will make sure that it is posted. It will also be out and about on the website as well. And what will happen is parents, if they want to attend, because we all know that, when you're on Zoom, you can't necessarily hear, see, so what will happen is parents will sign up. If they want to come and attend where they can actually ask me questions live, they will sign up by a certain date. I'll give a deadline. I will send them the link, and then they will actually be in there like a virtual classroom would be. Should a parent miss, because, our parents are busy, should a parent miss and not be able to attend, their option will be to go back and watch the recorded video. And then, of course, if they have questions, they can just let me know that there is still a question, and then I can address it that way.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Poe.
Miss Antone, I just have a quick suggestion. I think it'd be helpful to have different names for the 2 Saturday programs because they're very different. And the first one that you described, I mean, to me, that's a privilege and an honor, to be selected for that. Your teachers, believe you're a promising student, and yes, I would love to see some sort of name, that reflects that is a cool thing, a good thing, an honor. It's not a punishment. It's an investment in you because we believe in you. And as you can tell, I'm not good at branding since I haven't come up with some clever name, but I just think that'd be really nice to have a very positive name on that school.
Yes, I like that. And we have some aspiring leaders who are leading this charge. And so they are working to get everything in place. And I know that they can come up with some pretty good stuff. And so, yes, we definitely agree because the Saturday school that's we use for an alternative to suspensions, its name is Saturday School, and that's what they've been going by. So we would have to have a different name. Yes. Thank you. Okay. So if there aren't any other comments or questions at this time, I do want to ask if anyone has any additional announcements. Okay. All right. And then also, Mr. Kobe, if I could ask you, is there anything that we need to share in terms of orientation trainings or for any of our Go team members?
Everybody needs to do their new member orientations. I am working diligently to get that out this week for the Ellis platform for you all. New member orientation, the live portion, because there's an online and a live portion. Those will start up after all Go teams have had their first meeting and we get all these new members in. So watch for information. And if you ever think that any information that we are sending you is incorrect, please let us know. The database is huge. So, human error does occur, even though we try really hard not to. And new this year, part of the charter renewal and policy and all is everybody has to do an annual ethics training. So that will be in Ellis. Even if you are an employee, you have to do the Go team ethics training. So, and they're all short, but thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for your support, Mr. Kobe. All right. So we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Tanisha Poe. I motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second?
This is Mrs. Baker. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, so all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any, any opposed? Okay, any abstentions? All right, so meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending today.
Bye, everybody.